Hello, it is I, Kareem the Aardman fan, and today in the morning I'm gonna read about Thomas the Tank Engine. Contains four stories by the Rev. W. Audrey celebrating 60 years of Thomas and Friends. That's in 2005. Wow. Thomas the Tank Engine, the Rev. W. Audrey. Dear Christopher, here is your friend Thomas the Tank Engine. He wanted to come out of his station yard and see the world. These stories tell you how he did it. I hope you will like them because you helped me to make them. Your loving Daddy. Thomas and Gordon. Thomas was a tank engine who lived at the big station. He had six small wheels, a short stumpy funnel, a short stumpy boiler, and a short stumpy dome. He was a fussy little engine, always pulling coaches about. He pulled them to the station ready for the big engines to take out on long journeys, and when trains came in and the people got out, he would pull the empty coaches away so that the big engines could go and rest. Thomas was a cheeky little engine too. He thought no engine worked as hard as he did, so he used to play tricks on them. He liked best of all to come quietly beside a big engine dozing on a siding and make him jump. Beep, 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 beep. Wake up, lazy bones, he would whistle. Why don't you work hard like me? Then he would laugh rudely and run away to find some more coaches. One day, Gordon was resting on a siding. He was very tired. The big express he always pulled had been late, and he had to run as fast as he could to make up for lost time. He was just going to sleep when Thomas came up in his cheeky way. Wake up, lazy bones, he whistled. Do some hard work for a change. You can't catch me. And he ran off laughing. Instead of going to sleep again, Gordon thought how he could get Thomas back. One morning, Thomas wouldn't wake up. His driver and fireman couldn't make him start. His fire went out, and there was not enough steam. It was nearly time for the express. The people were waiting, but the coaches weren't ready. At last, Thomas started. Oh dear, he yawned. Come on, said the coaches. Hurry up. Thomas gave them a rude bump and started for the station. Don't dawdle, he grumbled. Where have you been? Where have you been? Asked the coaches crossly. Thomas first into the station where Gordon was waiting. Boop, boop, boop. Hurry up, you, said Gordon crossly. Beep, beep, beep. Hurry yourself, said cheeky Thomas. Yes, said Gordon, I will. And almost before the coaches had stopped moving, Gordon came out of his siding and was coupled to the train. Boop, boop, he whistled. Get in quickly, please. So the people got in quickly. The signal went down. The clock struck the hour. The guard waved his green flag, and Gordon was ready to start. Thomas usually pushed behind the big trains to help them start, but he was always uncoupled first so that when the train was running nicely, he could stop and go back. This time he was late and Gordon started so quickly that they forgot to uncouple Thomas. Boop boop, said Gordon. Beep beep beep, whistled Thomas. Come on, puffed Gordon to the coaches. Pull harder, puffed Thomas to Gordon. The heavy train slowly began to move out of the station. The train went faster and faster, too fast for Thomas. He wanted to stop, but he couldn't. Beep, beep! Stop, stop, he whistled. Hurry, 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 laughed Gordon in front. You can't get away, you can't get away, laughed the coaches. Poor Thomas was going faster than he had ever gone before. He was out of breath and his wheels hurt him, but he had to go on. I shall never be the same again, he thought sadly. My wheels will be quite worn out. At last they stopped at a station. Everyone laughed to see Thomas puffing and panting behind. They uncoupled him and put him on a turntable, and then he ran on a siding out of the way. Well, little Thomas, chuckled Gordon as he passed. Now you know what hard work means, don't you? Poor Thomas couldn't answer. He had no breath. He just puffed slowly away to rest and had a long, long drink. He went home very slowly and was careful afterward never to be cheeky to Gordon again. The end. Here's another second chapter. Thomas's train. Thomas's train. Thomas often grumbled because he was not allowed to pull passenger trains. The other engines laughed. You're too impatient, they said. You'd be sure to leave something behind. Rubbish, said Thomas crossly. You just wait. I'll show you. One night he and Henry were alone. Henry was ill. The man worked hard, but he didn't get better. Now Henry usually pulled the first train in the morning, and Thomas had to get his coaches ready. If Henry is ill, he thought, perhaps I shall pull his train. Thomas ran to find the coaches. Come along, he fussed. There's plenty of time, grumbled the coaches. He took them to the platform and wanted to run around in front at once, but his driver wouldn't let him. Don't be impatient, Thomas, he said. So Thomas waited and waited. The people got in. guard and the station master walked out and down. The porters banged the doors, and still Henry didn't come. Thomas got more and more excited every minute. Sir Topham had came out of his office to see what was the matter, and the guard and the station master told him about Henry. Find another engine, he ordered. There's only Thomas, they said. You'll have to do it then, Thomas. Be quick now. So Thomas ran around to the front and backed up to the coaches ready to start. Don't be impatient, said his driver. Wait till everything is ready. But Thomas was too excited to listen to a word he said. What happened then, no one knows. Perhaps they forgot to couple Thomas to the train. Perhaps Thomas was too impatient to wait till they were ready. Or perhaps his driver pulled the lever by mistake. Anyhow, Thomas started without the coaches. People shouted and waved at him, but he didn't stop. They're waving because I'm such a splendid engine, he thought importantly. Henry says it's hard to pull trains, but I think it's easy. Hurry, 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 he puffed, pretending to be like Gordon. As he passed the first signal box, he saw the men leaning out, waving and shouting. They're pleased to see me, he thought. They've never seen me pulling a train before. It's nice of them to wave. And he whistled, beep, beep. Thank you, and hurried on. But he came to a signal, danger. Bother, he thought. I must stop, and I was going so nicely, too. What a nuisance signals are, and he blew an angry beep beep on his whistle. Thomas and the Freight Cars. That's the third chapter of this. Thomas used to grumble in the shed at night. I'm tired of pushing coaches. I want to see the world. The others didn't take much notice, for Thomas was a little engine who talked big. But one night Edward came to the shed. He was a kind little engine and felt sorry for Thomas. I've got some freight cars to take home tomorrow, he told him. If you take them instead, I'll push coaches in the yard. Thank you, said Thomas. That will be nice. So they asked their drivers the next morning, and when they said yes, Thomas ran happily to find the freight cars. Now, freight cars are silly and noisy. They talk a lot and don't attend to what they are doing. They don't listen to their engine, and when he stops, they bump into each other screaming, oh, 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 whatever is happening, and I'm sorry to say they play tricks on an engine who is not used to them. Edward knew all about freight cars. He warned Thomas to be careful, but Thomas was too excited to listen. The switchman fastened the coupling, and when the signal dropped, Thomas was ready. The guy blew his whistle. Beep, beep, answered Thomas, and started off, but the freight cars weren't ready. Oh, 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 they screamed as their couplings tightened. Wait, Thomas, wait. But Thomas wouldn't wait. Come on, he puffed, and the freight cars grumbled slowly out the siding onto the main line. Thomas was happy. Come along, he puffed. All right, don't fuss. All right, don't fuss, grumbled the freight cars. They clattered through stations and rumbled over bridges. Thomas whistled beep beep, and they rushed through the tunnel where Henry had been shut up. Then they came to the top of the hill where Gordon had gotten stuck. Steady now, steady, warned the driver, and he shut off steam and began to put on the brakes. We're stopping, called Thomas. No, 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 answered the freight cars, and bumped into each other. Go on, and before his driver could stop them, they had pushed Thomas down the hill and were rattling and laughing behind him. Poor Thomas tried hard to stop them from making him go too fast. Stop pushing, he hissed, but the freight cars would not stop. Go on, they giggled in their silly way. He was glad when they got to the bottom. Then he saw the place where they had to stop. Oh dear, what shall I do? They rattled through the station, and luckily the line was clear as they swerved into the freight yard. Ooh, er, groaned Thomas as his brakes held fast and he skidded along the rails. I must stop, and he shut his eyes tight. When he opened them, he saw he had stopped just in front of the buffers, and there watching him was Sir Topham Hatt. What are you doing here, Thomas? He asked sternly. I've brought Edward's freight cars, Thomas answered. Why did you come so fast? I didn't mean to. I was pushed, said Thomas sadly. Haven't you pulled freight cars before? No. Then you've a lot to learn about freight cars, Thomas. There are silly things and must be kept in their place. After pushing them about here for a few weeks, you'll know almost as much about them as Edward. Then you'll be a really useful engine. The end. And here's the last chapter of Thomas and the Breakdown Train. Thomas pushed the breakdown train alongside, then he pulled the unhurt freight cars out of the way. Oh dear, they groaned. Serves you right, puffed Thomas crossly. When the men put other freight cars on the line, he pulled them away too. He was hard at work, puffing backward and forward all the afternoon. This'll teach you a lesson, this'll teach you a lesson, he told the freight cars, and they answered, it will, yes, it will, in a sad, groany, creaky sort of voice. They left the broken freight cars and mended the line. Then, with two cranes, they put James back on the rails. He tried to move, but he couldn't, so Thomas helped him back to the shed. Sir Topham Hatt was waiting anxiously for them. Well, Thomas, he said kindly, I've heard all about it, and I'm very pleased with you. You're a really useful engine. James shall have some proper brakes and a new coat of paint, and you shall have a branch line all to yourself. Oh, sir, said Thomas happily. Now Thomas is as happy as can be. He has a branch line all to himself and puffs proudly backward and forward with two coaches all day. He is never lonely because there is always some engine to talk to at the junction. Edward and Henry stop quite often and tell him the news. Gordon is always in a hurry and does not stop, but he never forgets to say "boop boop" to little Thomas, and Thomas always whistles beep beep in return. The end. And that's the story of Thomas the Tank Engine with four stories celebrating 60 years of Thomas the Tank Engine. Thomas and Friends, making tracks to great destinations. And thank you for watching my stories of K.S. Productions. And like it and subscribe for me and anything you like to and anytime you love. And you're always welcome about read along about me. Ciao.